Hello everybody, it's MicheleMarieDalene, North American Snow Queen. It's Wednesday afternoon, or evening, the 20th of January, 2016. Today, we're going to talk about, potentially, what can happen with her winter storm, Jonas, and how it's going to affect the eastern seaboard. Now, at this point, the information I get from the Weather Channel shows it being more centered in the Mid-Atlantic states. Connecticut and parts of Long Island and, of course, a little bit of Massachusetts are going to get snow, but the question is it going to be enough to really be a major issue? At this point, the only thing I can tell you is it shows that we may get about 25 centimeters of snow. Not exactly the same as we had around 2013 with Winter Storm Nemo, which was a lot more snow than that. But no matter what, because it's going to be a blizzard, because it's going to be strong winds, there are things that you may want to keep in mind to keep safe. The first thing is that it's going to be cold without the wind chill. When you add the wind chill in, the temperatures are going to drop to really unwelcome cold. Okay? So therefore, you need to consider how much you can keep yourself warm. Dressing in layers and heavier wool clothing is definitely a good start. Important thing is to make sure to stay dry, because any moisture such as a wet scarf or wet gloves or mittens is going to result in your skin getting cold very quick, because it turns into a form of a wet bulb thermometer. And if you know anything about how dew point is measured, you know that it is traditionally done with a wet bulb thermometer. And that's going to make things even more seriously a major concern for hypothermia. It's important to keep yourself warm, and by keeping yourself dry, and having enough clothing to protect you from the wind. Now, it's also very possible that you could lose power during such a storm. That is not a minor issue. If you lose electricity during a storm of this type, it may take anywhere from a day or two or longer to the utility crews to get the power restored. And depending on the area you're in, that may put you in either as a primary importance or a secondary importance. Examples of primary importance are people in the city. That's because, number one, they don't have necessarily any kind of backup food and generators. Yeah, I'm very tired. I've been studying this stuff all night. Or they do not have any kind of way to get in or out of their apartments, because if they're in a high rise, they don't have elevators that are running. Lastly, of course, people may have medical needs that are more likely to live in the urban environments, such as people who have breathing machines and oxygen creation devices. So, therefore, they need to make sure to get their electricity running first. People in the countryside, unfortunately, I'm sorry to say, are of lower priority than the people in the city. However, that doesn't mean you can't have a generator. If you do, let's talk about generator safety, and also, because it's also related to the same concept of internal combustion engine, let's talk about your automobile. Because both depend on the fuel, and the fuel, unfortunately, may not be available in the case of a power failure. Therefore, it is recommended for both your generator and your automobile, especially now that the price of gasoline has come down quite a bit in price, it makes sense to stock up on extra filling your tank of your car to the brim with gasoline, if that's what your car uses, or diesel, if that's what your car uses. Likewise, the same thing for your generator. Make sure that you have several gasoline or kerosene cans worth of fuel on hand. Make sure that your generator is operating properly. This would be the time on Thursday is really when you should start getting yourself together and start really working on energy backups. Make sure your oil is clean. Make sure your spark plugs are good. Make sure that your generator is operating properly. Okay? And this is really important to do this as soon as possible. Also, because of the winds, you're going to want to make sure to protect anything that potentially could become airborne. For example, if you got anything outside, may it be possibly a piece of lawn furniture or something like that, that even though it's winter you're not using, but it might be still sitting on your porch, you might definitely want to seriously lash that thing to the porch so it doesn't become airborne. Because this thing is going to have winds that going up to 40 to 60 kilometers per hour because of the blizzard conditions. Now, these same blizzard conditions also mean that visibility is going to go right down the shitter. So, make sure that you are prepared for possible whiteout conditions. Now, ideally, it makes sense before the snow system comes in to prepare and make sure you have all those things on hand provided for. Make sure you have food, and if you lose power and you don't have gas or wood or anything to cook on, make sure you have things that you can eat that don't require cooking. I happen to have a couple MREs that I got from the soup kitchen for this purpose. They are actually always in my pantry, and they are here, so all I have to, and they're supposedly are the ones that are self-heating. So, which means I can, even if I can't cook them, I can still eat them as they are, because they are supposedly ready to be eaten. I also have water on hand that is not require any kind of circuit water pump to pump it up from the wells or from the street leads. It's already here in little containers in my bathroom and my kitchen. So therefore, I have drinking water on hand. Now, candles are certainly usable for power failures, but make sure you remember one thing. Candles are, of course, flammable, and they're an open flame. And if you are not practicing due diligence and safety, you could potentially burn your place down. So, please make sure that your candles are being used by adults that understand the safety aspects of candles. Okay? And most important thing after that is if you have children, you will definitely going to want to keep them preoccupied with some activities to do. Because, let's be honest, there may not be no TV working. And even if you do have a rooftop antenna, there's a chance that the wind could be enough to blow your antenna off the mast, which means you still won't have a TV to watch. Here at the North American Snorkeling Palace, we do have a battery-backed Wi-Fi that will keep running for a time when the power fails. The sad truth is that while I may keep the power running for a while, it's, unfortunately for me, it's not going to keep things running for days. Why? Because my cell phone is my only source of power, and it needs electricity to run. The second thing that requires electricity is our wireless power pack that runs our backup power supply. Now, the power supply we're talking about is located in a separate box, a Belkin backup power supply for the wireless modem. And if that thing only will run the internet for maybe about a day tops, and after that it tops out and then it shuts down. So for that reason, we can't guarantee that we're going to have power for days and days and days and days. Okay, I wish I could say we do, but we don't. So that means that if I'm going to cover this event as I do plan to, as we go through and we lose power, it may be very difficult to keep the coverage going. Because don't forget, there's another thing too that can still happen. The phone wiring and the poles can be damaged by winds and branches or trees knocking poles out the wire out the poles. That's still very possible. Second of all is, what about cell phones? I'm going to be honest and tell you this right now. Cell phones may not be working. Cell phones are a lower priority than hardwired phone lines. So therefore, you may find yourself with no working phone service. Unless, like me, you got a backup plan. I do. So I will be okay for most things. I will still be able to make and receive phone calls, providing that the phone lines stay operational, which most of the time they do. And, of course, I want you to be safe. I want you to be warm, and I want you to stay dry, because there's no greater enemy to your health than getting full of snow and slush and water and moisture, because it's going to wick away the warmth from your body. And if you do lose power at night and you do not have an alternative energy source, bundle up with your loved ones. It's okay. Okay? You know, me, like, for example, Dory's supposed to be going to be here Thursday. Alright, so let's say it's Saturday and Dory's still here. Okay, first of all, we sleep together anyway, so I don't think that's a problem. But let's say that we didn't. Let's say we were just friends and it was no big deal. We wanted to stay warm. We would just shack up together. And I mean, that's a good survival techniques, because the average human body at rest produces 511 British thermal units per hour. Now, you may not seem like a lot, but two bodies produce about 10,022 British thermal units per hour of heat. That's going to keep you and your spouse warm. With enough layers of blankets on top of you, you should be able to prevent hypothermia from setting in. Last thing to remember is your pets. I know my cat Rusty likes to go outside in the daytime. He enjoys being outside. He enjoys doing cat things, and he's a happy cat. But even he's smart enough to realize that if it gets really cold enough, he's going to want to stay inside. Okay? So, but that also means for you humans that you must not try to push your animals to go outside if they don't want to go. If Rusty didn't want to go out, I'm not going to force him out in the cold. If Fame wants to go out, I'll let him out. But usually Fame stays in the house. But if you have a dog, make sure to bring your dog inside. Any other animal that may be susceptible to the cold, bring them in. Okay? May it be a rabbit in a hutch, or your dog, a cat, your make sure to keep your horses in the stables, and make sure that your other animals like cows and chickens are protected from the cold. It's essential. Okay? Because it's important to protect all your loved ones and your livestock. And my cat's knocking things off the tabletop. It's a remote. Yeah, I see it. Anyway, the point is, guys, is I want to make sure to prepare. We will cover this event as we go, as long as the technology is willing to keep working. So we'll do our best to be there for you. Please do not forget to stay safe, stay warm, and stay dry. And I will see you really soon. Okay? Bye-bye.